freaking first cut. Golly. What's going on, YouTube? This is your round 3 recap for this week's Zurich Classic. We'll talk about the day, look forward to the final rounds, and go over the betting odds. Hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and joining me this evening, Mark Immelman is here. What's going on, Mark?
Hotel room behind me looks kind of ethereal, doesn't it? It almost feels like I'm in your neck of the woods there in Vegas at Caesars or the Bellagio or something.
Yeah, I was going to say the Venetian is what it looks like.
I'm good. Just down the way from Braves Stadium, en route to a junior golf tournament I've got this weekend off. I'm not in New Orleans, but still paying attention to the golf. And man, it's I'm sad really I'm not there because it's some spectacular stuff.
Spectacular stuff for sure, especially from our leaders, Xander, Schauffele, Cantlay. 5 shots clear. Mark, let me try to recap just a little bit of what they've done over the course of the past couple of days. They've now played their 2 best ball rounds in 119 combined strokes. That's a 59 and a 60. They birdied 8 of their last 9 here on Saturday. They are massive favorites to win it. They look unstoppable at the moment.
Well, the truth about these two is they've looked unstoppable ever since they first teamed up. I mean, they just fit so well. And I think on the setup podcast for this event on Tuesday, I picked these guys because it just seems like no matter what their form is like when they get together, they bring out the best in each other. And you can see by that picture that you posted there, Xander's kind of lighthearted. He's pretty stoic himself, but Cantlay takes stoic to a different level. But Xander can somehow get underneath it, and he loosens Cantlay up a little bit. And so I think it's just they're the perfect foil for each other. They play similar games. They approach the golf course the same way. They sort of see shots the same because they both like to hit just a little tumbly draw, if anything. And then, of course, you've got Cantlay, who I had for 2 rounds last week down in Hilton Head at Harbour Town, and he looked like he found a little something. And I think there was a point to prove because he believed that RBC Heritage should have been his and not Spieth. So coming in here with good form, Xander Schauffele unlocks him a little bit more, and all of a sudden, there's these guys are making magic.
29 under par is where they currently stand. So to put that into perspective, they've already shattered the 54-hole scoring record mark. That's 23 under. They are actually, if they just made par on every hole on Sunday, they would break the tournament scoring record. They're already there. They're already deeper than the tournament scoring record. And I would argue, and maybe you feel differently about this, Mark, the alternate shot, that might be the format that they are better than the field at anyway.
Well, the alternate shot, I also had made the point that I thought that was where the event was going to be won and lost. And on Friday, the guys just blitzed the place. And typically the format, which is the hardest of the two, the scoring was crazy. But I'm sort of with you because alternate shot is, first off, about being able to forgive yourself for hitting a bad shot, for putting your partner in a pickle. And these two get along so well. I think they're fine with just kind of hitting the ball in the woods and saying, well, I know you're good enough to pick me up over here. And then, of course, you're allowed to alternate golf balls. So on Xander's iron holes, I'm sure they'll go with his brand of golf ball. And for Cantlay's iron holes, they'll go with his brand of golf ball for the control and the approach shot. But still, they hit similar shots. They hit the ball kind of the same distance. And they're similar personalities. So it's like these two fit like hand in glove. And it not only bodes well for tomorrow, but shucks, for Team USA and President's Cups and Ryder Cups and stuff, these two look just unstoppable right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many more accolades I could throw at these two. They were tactical, they were phenomenal. They're going to enter the final rounds over a couple of South Africans, Mark. Garrick Higgo, Brandon Grace. I think that both of them would probably tell you that the 2022 calendar year not going as expected. Neither of them have a top 20 anywhere in the world, but they go out, they shoot a Saturday 63, and there's still a lot on the line tomorrow. And especially if the boys at the top stumble, they can be there to kind of be in the mix.
They certainly can. And the thing about Brandon Grace, who hasn't had his best form, but I picked him last week down at the RBC Heritage because what I've been seeing and what I've been hearing from him is that the game is trending in the right direction. and he played okay down there at Harbour Town. And then coming in here alongside Garrick Higgo, who is streaky. Garrick hits it long. He's a fantastic putter. And so when he gets it going on, that sort of arrangement, drive it long, putt well, is really good for low scoring. And we've seen him go on tears on the DP World Tour, and we saw him win in South Carolina last year when everything just worked out at Congaree. But Brandon Grace, people tend to forget that this guy, he was Louis Oosthuizen's wingman in all those President's Cup matches, in all of those Dunhill Cups for South Africa, where him and Louis were also unbeatable. So he's a great partner to have. He's very uplifting. He's very upbuilding. And for a young Garrick Higgo, I think it's a very comfortable grouping because Brandon is Afrikaans, his first language, and so is Garrick's. So Garrick gets to New Orleans, speaks Afrikaans to his buddy. His buddy's very uplifting, makes him feel better about himself, and sort of lifts a young guy with a whole lot of talent who on some of these wide fairways can just open up and smash it. And so you sort of see that where Higgo, to me, looks like he's playing with a freedom that he doesn't really play with when he's on his own golf ball. And we know he's wildly talented. So I have to hand a whole lion's share of the credits to Brandon Grace because he's allowed Garrick to shine. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't look like the other two are catchable, but you never know. The way this golf course sets up, one's birdieable, two's the par 5. You can do something special there. And if the Americans get off to a slow start, you can clip into that lead fast. And then all bets suddenly are off, especially that they're out in front. I think they're not in the final group, are they?
I think they are in the final group. Yeah.
Oh, they are in the okay.
We're the only pair at 24 under. Yeah.
Well, that's even better then because they can look the other guys in the face and say, we're off to the fast start. Now we're only like maybe 2 back or whatever, and there's 16 holes to play, and we know it's alternate shot, so anything can happen. So again, I think Brandon, in a funny sort of a way, without swinging a golf club, is almost the key to this relationship.
I like that. Well, that Saturday 63 was the third lowest round of the day. Still lost 3 shots to Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. That's tough. That's tough to do. Similar 63 for Sam Burns and Billy Horschel. Mark, they are at 23 under par. They're going to start the final round 6 shots back. There's kind of a log jam at 23 and 22 under. But Billy Horschel fancies their chances on Sunday. Doesn't necessarily think this thing is over. Actually mentioned, hey, if it gets windy on Sunday, like the forecast is showing, I think that we're still in this thing.
Well, if it gets windy on Sunday, then 68 and alternate shots a good score. And then these guys, they do that, and I believe they can get to 27-ish or so, which may be a competitive number. And Billy's previous successes here have come from behind. I called the victory when this event was still a stroke play event. He won chasing someone down. I can't remember who the leader was. Then alongside Scott Piercy, it was a similar deal where they were chasers. And Billy, just like Brandon Grace, is kind of the uplifter. He's the tip of the spear. He wants the ball. And so I'm sure if these two get going, hell, you just got to wind Sam Burns up and let him go because the guy's a machine. So I'm sure Horschel's relishing the opportunity to be out there before the leaders, get on the board quickly, hopefully, post something, maybe do something special on the last hole like the year he won when it was stroke play. He buried a good 20-footer on the final green for kind of like the icing birdie. I'm sure he's looking forward to that chance again.
They'll be out in the penultimate group with Jason Day and Jason Scrivener. We'll talk about them in just 1 second. I want to look at the odds board and put a bow on this round 3 recap, Mark. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Caesars Sportsbook has done it. They've listed Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay at minus 800. Mark, lay 800, win 100. That's the offerings. The next shortest odds, Billy Horschel and Sam Burns at 14-1, Brandon Grace, Garrick Higgo at 16-1. This is Caesar saying, congratulations, Xander. Congratulations, Patrick. You've got one hand on the championship belt.
Yeah, it kind of is. And I mean, these guys should be the favorites because they're just playing so well and they just look so complete right now. Mentally, physically, they just look like they've got everything working out. But I couldn't, with any good sense, even though they look so good, lay $800 down there to make 100. Now, I would happily put 100 down on Horschel and Burns right now, and I'd do the same thing with Grayson Higgo, because you never really know. But yikes, I mean, that is that's an incredible number, even though they have a pretty large lead, because golf is strange. It's never really over until it's over, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably the shortest number we've seen on a Saturday night that I can remember. So it's quite there. A couple other notables, because even if this does continue to be a runaway and Xander and Cantlay win this by 7 shots, there's a lot on the line. Jason Scribner playing with Jason Day mentioned them. Saturday 63. They went 65-65 mark the first 2 rounds. I probably imagine there's not many instances of a 7 under best ball round followed by a 7 under alternate shot round. I mean, that's playing some golf out there.
It really is. But you look at the scores, and I mean, these guys have shredded the TPC Louisiana. Now, ordinarily, this place is wet and it plays long because, it's New Orleans. It's lower than sea level. And then you get some winds over there, but the golf course is dry. The ball's rolling out. I think the greens are rolling fantastically well. So if you're hitting the ball well, it's there to be had. Because the truth is, unless you're in all of one of the many penalty areas the water hazards around here, there's no real trouble off the tee unless you get in some of those pot bunkers. So you can just smash away. And so the only real challenge to me becomes an alternate shot, where if you sort of free up and open up on one and you blast the thing into Kingdom Come, and you leave your partner in some trouble. But we haven't really seen any real big numbers in both formats of play. And to me, it's just the conditions. I mean, you look at our leaders. They've shot 59 and 60 in best ball. And then I think they shot, 4 under in alternate shot, which is a heck of a round. To me, if you shoot 4 or better in alternate shot, that's really good going. I mean, in any Ryder Cup or whatever, if you do that in alternate shot, you likely have a winning record. So the scoring's off the charts, and I feel like it is because the weather is just so good. The golf course is just in great shape and playing kind of short.
It's been fireworks in New Orleans all week long. Mark, before I get you out of here, quick one and done update. Yeah. So the leaders right now for this week, Kyle and Greg have Billy Horschel and Sam Burns. So they're likely to get a nice little payday. You have Max Homa and Taylor Gooch, who are holding their own, but currently, let's see where they're currently at here. They were T10 when I saw them earlier, T14 at the moment, but at least we're not Jacob, Mito Pereira, and Joaquin Neiman, who withdrew from this one.
Well, you know the story behind. I look like a bit of a rear ender on Tuesday evening's podcast. Not that I don't do that all the time, but I spoke with Jacob before the time and said, "Hey, here's a good idea, because there's no real nationality bets here. I think the Australians are going to go really well. So why don't we play the Australian anthem?" And he goes, "I'm ahead of you. I'm already thinking that, because that's going to be my pick." And so, but I didn't know he was going with Neiman and Pereira. So he starts playing the anthem, and I'm like, it's the Aussies. And it turns to be the Chilean guys. But yeah, it sort of hurts for Jacob some. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, I think that's just a whisker of payback, because I'd been lining up Billy Horschel for this event since last year at this time. And so shame on me for not realizing we were going to count 2 guys. But in the end, I think it'll still work out okay.
Well, not shame on you, because we decided that about 5 minutes before the podcast started. So
I see how you're working.
Because advance notice on that.
Because you know what? I'm the moron that texts my pick to Jacob, because I'm just always all over the show and I can't look at the rundown. So he knows who I'm going with before the show happens. So he's got all this stuff taken care of there.
We'll have to check the record. I'm pretty sure we did 2 picks last year as well.
Yeah, you did, but I was lobbying for the other way around.
Well,
I think you're right, because I think I did Kirk and Todd because of that last year. So I think we did do 2 as well.
But last year, I hadn't used Burns. Okay, so I used Burns and Horschel in this event, and it worked out pretty well. But then Sam Burns, who was a stud in the making, turned into the stud. And so I used him, I think, in Mississippi, where he played pretty well again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had burned Aaron Rye down at the Bermuda, so that's what messed me up. Is that was down with Ryan Lipsky?
Yeah, that would have been nice. All right, gentlemen. Well, we'll be back after the final round to discuss everything that is what is likely Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay victory, and we can talk about how Xander doesn't win real events and all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
24 hours. Get ready, Mark. Get ready for the takes. They're coming.
Well, I'm going to have to bow out of tomorrow evening because I'm going to be at a high school golf match, but I certainly will be listening to you guys on the way home. And if you say anything asinine, I'm going to be sure to text you fools, okay?
Sure we will. Get your texting fingers ready. Big thanks to producer Jacob, does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Mark Immelman. You can find him on Twitter at Mark_Immelman. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.